Jimmy Ward, what is you doing, fam?
Jeez Louise, man. Are you kidding me, bro? Jimmy Ward is usually one of those quiet, humble individuals I've ever interacted with. For the last 2 months, he's been arrested twice. Like, what's going on, man?
This is really, if it's true, this is really a big downfall from the glory days in San Francisco, where he was one of the main ingredients and long-term members of that stout defense for the 49ers.
Imagine going from being a respected NFL veteran to being arrested twice, dragged into a $20 million lawsuit, and kicked off the field, all in just 60 days. That's not a slow downfall, that's a free fall. And for Jimmy Ward, the story isn't finished. It's only getting messier. It all began back in June, when news broke that Houston Texans safety Jimmy Ward had been arrested at his Texas home. Not for something minor, but for a third-degree felony assault. According to reports, the incident involved choking, threats, and physical violence against the mother of his child. The headlines spread instantly.
Houston Texans safety Jimmy Ward facing a $20 million lawsuit tied to his arrest earlier this summer. The mother of Ward's child is suing, alleging assault, trauma, and drug use. Ward already facing a felony family violence charge. His attorney tells us that they're focused on the criminal case and the upcoming grand jury. Texans coach DeMeco Ryans spoke about it at practice yesterday.
I think it's unfair to rush to judgment when allegations and stories come out on players. Everybody's quick to jump on it and jump on the negative side with the players. Let's just allow it to play out, and we'll see what happens when everything is over.
A grand jury is expected to hear details on that case in the next week.
Texans captain arrested. Think about that. This wasn't some rookie no one's ever heard of. This was the veteran voice in the locker room, the guy the younger players looked up to. Suddenly, he's in handcuffs, facing charges that could put him behind bars. And if that wasn't enough, the court dropped a protective order, bond was set at $30,000, and fans started wondering if this was the end of his career right then and there. But little did anyone know, that was just the beginning. Fast forward a few weeks, Ward's supposed to be laying low, right? Keeping his head down while the lawyers do their thing. Instead, in early August, he gets arrested again. This time, not for new violence, but for violating his bond. Court records say he tested positive for alcohol, something strictly forbidden by his release conditions. On top of that, reports suggest he had contact with the very person he wasn't supposed to be around. His lawyer tried to spin it, saying Ward thought casual drinking was fine. But fans weren't buying it. Here's the thing. When you're fighting for your freedom, the last thing you want to do is hand the judge more ammo. And yet, Ward walked straight into another mugshot moment. And just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. That's when the civil lawsuit dropped like a bomb. The woman involved filed a lawsuit in Harris County, asking for over $20 million. And the accusations? Even darker than before. She claimed repeated assaults. She claimed Ward was under the influence of meth during some of them. She said financial manipulation, emotional abuse, and even alleged that their 3-year-old child witnessed some of the incidents. $20 million. Suddenly, this wasn't just about criminal court. It was about money, reputation, and the kind of headlines that live forever online. NFL star accused of drug-fueled violence. Child exposed to abuse. It was everywhere. And the narrative shifted from one bad night to a pattern of chaos. This is where the story jumped from a local courtroom headline to a national scandal. Because once the NFL gets involved, the whole country pays attention. On August 26th, the league announced Ward had been placed on the commissioner's exempt list. Now, if you don't follow NFL rules closely, here's what that means. A player on this list can't step foot on the field, can't join practice, and can't even be with his teammates in the locker room. But here's the kicker. He still gets paid his full salary. For Ward, that means he's sitting at home while millions keep rolling into his bank account. To some fans, that feels like a slap in the face. They see headlines of choking allegations, meth rumors, a $20 million lawsuit, and yet the NFL's stance is, let's wait and see. And this isn't the first time the league has done this. Remember Ray Rice? Or more recently, Deshaun Watson? The NFL has a long history of putting players in this holding pattern where they're essentially protected until courts make a decision. But the problem is, by then, the damage to reputations and to victims has already been done. So the debate exploded. Should Jimmy Ward be cut off completely until this is resolved? Or does he deserve the benefit of the doubt because nothing's been proven yet? Either way, one thing was clear. The Texans just lost one of their defensive leaders, and the NFL had another public relations nightmare on its hands. And that's why this collapse hits harder than most. Jimmy Ward wasn't a problem child coming into the league. He wasn't known for being reckless. Quite the opposite. He was seen as the grown-up in the room. Drafted in 2014 by the San Francisco 49ers, Ward played nearly a decade there. Coaches called him a glue guy, the type of player who set the tone for younger teammates. When he signed with the Houston Texans in 2023, he brought that same reputation, a veteran presence who could stabilize a rebuilding defense. By 2024, he was wearing the captain's patch. Think about that. A captain in the NFL isn't just about talent, it's about trust. It's about being the guy everyone else looks at when the pressure's on. That's who Jimmy Ward was supposed to be, and now? That image is shattered. Instead of headlines about interceptions or leadership speeches, it's mugshots, lawsuits, and speculation about drugs. The same fans who once cheered him as a role model are now questioning if they ever really knew him at all. Was this a sudden fall from grace? Or had there been red flags all along that people ignored because he was useful on Sundays? That's the question that lingers. And it's why his story feels so much heavier than your typical athlete scandal. Here's where things get really tense. Time is running out, and Ward is staring down multiple battles all at once. First, the criminal case. A grand jury is set to review the charges on August 31st. If they indict him, Ward won't just be fighting rumors anymore. He'll be fighting for his freedom in court. Then there's the civil case. $20 million on the line. Even if Ward beats the criminal charges, the lawsuit could wipe out his earnings, drag his name through years of headlines, and put his entire career earnings at risk. And on top of that, the NFL is waiting in the wings. The league rarely moves until after the courts do. But once the verdicts drop, the hammer usually follows. That could mean a long suspension, or worse, the end of his career altogether. So let's be clear. Jimmy Ward isn't just in legal trouble. He's on a timer. Every day brings him closer to a decision that could define the rest of his life. And the craziest part? This all unraveled in less than 3 months. 2 arrests, a protective order, a lawsuit, a suspension, a grand jury date. Careers don't usually implode this fast. But for Ward, it's like watching a slow-motion car crash that somehow speeds up at every turn. The clock is ticking, and the question now is simple. Does he survive this storm? Or is this the moment Jimmy Ward's NFL career officially ends? And that leaves the bigger question, what does this mean for the NFL? Should players accused of these kinds of acts be banned immediately? Or is the league right to wait and see what happens in court? Jimmy Ward's career might already be over. Or maybe he fights this, clears his name, and makes a comeback. Either way, this saga shows just how fast things can fall apart when off-the-field drama takes over the headlines. So, what do you think? Is this the NFL protecting their own? Or is Jimmy Ward just another cautionary tale of a career spiraling out of control?